Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of You Haven't Seen That Podcast, or YHST for short. I'm Isaac.
I'm Elva.
And this is, of course, a show where we cover movies on the growing list of films that has people asking us the question, you haven't seen that? We have some special guests for you. We have a third-timer, Rudy Moreno, and his betrothed, Rachel Moreno.
Hi.
Hey, hi, Rachel. This is totally fresh conversation. Definitely haven't done this before. Rachel, usually when I have new people on, I like to get to know them a little bit, specifically about their movie habits. So, are you a movie person, and why not?
Not really, because I do fall asleep in the movie theater 7 times out of 10. And it's hard to shut my brain off to actually pay attention to a whole entire movie. But also when I was growing up, I don't have a lot of memories of going to the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. So I just find my joy elsewhere.
And speaking of which, do you usually like to see movies in the theaters or at home streaming? Because you guys have a great setup out here. We
do have a great setup, but I still prefer the bigger screen, the better sound.
Same. All right,
cool. Hardcore air conditioning.
So you're my peoples.
Better sound, huh?
It's hardcore air conditioning, Rudy.
Shitting on my setup?
Heated seats?
No, I do love your setup, but it's just more comfortable in the...
I mean, they have heated seats.
Movie theater. And it is bigger.
Size queen. Whoa, I stepped into something. My bad.
That's what she said.
One of the few times size matters is when you're watching.
Moving on.
When you're watching a movie.
That's even worse.
Rachel, what kind of what is your genre that you usually go to? What do you favor the most?
I like comedy. I like to laugh. I want to be entertained. I do find that, when just talking with the group, like a lot of the times over the years, going with Rudy, because I've never gotten to the movies as much as I have since meeting Rudy. Mm-hmm. And him and his friends used to gather outside and things like that. And listening to them talk about things, it's nice to hear their point of views and things. But sometimes I feel like because I'm not that into movies, like I'm not as hard of a critic.
Yeah. I'm
like, hey, I thought it was good. I was entertained. That's the whole point of the movie. So I find myself not critiquing them as hard as everybody else.
She says this, but I've seen her absolutely shit all over movies she doesn't like.
So that's why we're testing this. I want to see how everyone's going to be on mic. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.
So we recently checked out 2 movies, and then we're going to kind of go back and recap a movie that Alva saw. Alva, give us a list.
So it's going to be Alien Romulus, The Crow, and we're going to recap It Ends With Us.
Yeah, some of the drama behind the drama.
It's just my opinion has changed a little bit since last time.
Okay, yeah. We'll get into it. But first, let's jump into a good movie. We saw all together Alien Romulus with the hype attack. And I think the overall consensus is that we liked it. We loved it. We wanted more of it. Because me and Alva are the horror people. So like it spoke to us on that end. Rudy, I know you're not a horror person.
But I am hard sci-fi.
Yeah, you are.
And that tickled that button.
Okay. And Rachel?
Honestly, that wouldn't have been something I would have sought out to watch myself. I would have been like, if I watch it, I watch it. But since everyone is going, I tagged along. I didn't think it was bad, but it's not something that I would watch again.
But overall, like, was there anything you gained from it? Like visually, you're like, wow, this is a great movie compared to it being something that you wouldn't have watched?
Yeah, visually it looked a lot better than, certain things, but it just wasn't my type. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll get into more details and I can say further why.
Did you not like the gore?
I didn't feel like the gore was too much in Alien. We can talk about that later with The Crow. But in Alien, it wasn't the gore that I disliked. It was more so like the speed of the movie. I felt like it was going a little slow. And then I'm the kind of person that I watch something like this and I'm like, you're fighting for your life for what? You're going through all of this to maybe survive, and what's left for you when you survive?
Freedom!
Freedom to go back and work in the mine?
No, she was trying to get the hell out of there. Which we'll get into. Rudy, what was your overall feeling of the movie?
So for me, it ticked all the boxes of an Alien movie. Like, my favorite of that franchise is Aliens. And probably because I haven't seen Aliens, I can't really weight that with the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But it had those action beats that kind of mirrored that a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
And even the horror suspense buildup was palatable because for the most part, I don't really find much joy in horror movies. Mm-hmm. Pun intended.
Well, you have a soul. We don't. We were cackling and like any and all of the death scenes, much to everyone else's chagrin. But
and just like the visceral like look of the aliens and the face huggers and their proboscis or whatever the hell you want to call it.
It got dirty. It got
vein,
sexy.
The main vein.
Like I wanted to kind of like in my head, I kind of replaced the like suspense music with the saxophone. I'm like,
those
because it got
aliens were
sexy.
so inappropriate.
Oh, there
It was either like you were getting penis through your mouth, they had vagina stomachs. It was bad.
That's exactly
The imagery was very
Oh my god, the
vivid.
vagina stomach.
I was like, am I just immature? Like, this is so hard to watch.
hard indeed. It was feeling.
Yeah, that first
happening.
deep throat, I was like,
Oh,
what the heck?
yeah. I was like, is it ever gonna end? So size does matter.
She's coming back on the pod.
I was like, what is the rating here yet?
She did lean over to me at that point in the movie where they showed the stomach vagina, and all I heard was vagina.
She did
Like
the same
there was something else.
thing. Vagina.
Yeah, I was like, who is making these?
And by the way, because I think there's going to be some beats we're going to talk about that we have to spoil it. So giant heads up for the Crow and for Romulus. Spoiler alert.
Gina heads up.
Gina heads up. Nice. I like her.
Don't encourage her.
I didn't. She did it on her own.
Encourage.
Wait, what did you
Encouragement.
have to drink? Is it kicking in yet?
No.
That's her CBD.
We shared one.
Reducing UFO.
Me and Rudy shared one before, and I didn't
Noted.
feel like it did anything. There's no liquor in it, so it's just, I would assume it just calms you.
Oh, bummer. You want some of mine?
Just good vibes.
Not yet. Maybe after dinner.
Let's talk motivation of the characters, like overall story arc. How did everyone feel? Another one, by the way, quick heads up is in case anybody doesn't know, this isn't really. It's a sequel, I guess I was calling it, right? It's
Yeah, we went through the whole gamut, like requel, prequel, sequel.
Yeah, it's
Cycle.
takes place between Alien and Aliens. It's 57 years after the first one, so whatever you want to call it, whatever. So that being said, how did you guys feel about like the motivation of the characters?
Now that I'm looking up the names because I'm terrible at that.
Oh, I have it up here.
No,
sorry.
that's the wrong
Oh,
movie.
Here,
Bjorn. I was so happy to see that guy die. He just seemed like a twat.
there it goes.
Andy, the AI bot
Yeah.
or whatever.
Synthetic.
Yeah,
humanoid.
I found myself like her, like
Look.
Rain,
say
just
that.
sad for him. Like, oh, poor guy. Poor guy. He doesn't know better. And at first I was there was a scene where people were picking on him and she came out after finding out
Yeah.
that she can't leave. And I was like, oh, is he special needs? Like,
I thought that too.
I thought the same thing.
But
yeah. And then
they-
when she
they
pulled
totally
his
give
chip, I
that-
was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They totally give that vibe. Yeah, and then she rebooted him, and I was, ooh.
So I felt really
like,
bad
oh,
at first. And then
interesting.
I was like, oh, okay, this is different.
Everyone's broken.
Yeah.
I can
was
relate.
happy to see Bjorn die. I just would have given up on him a long time ago. Like, oh, you're being an a-hole. I did like the Rain character. I'm glad, she hopefully got what she wanted out of that.
Yeah, she's definitely like tinier than like Sigourney Weaver, but definitely a strong female lead.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her in A24 Civil War. I don't know if you guys ever got a chance to see that.
Still on my list.
Really good. I liked her character arc. Not that this is a review of Civil War, but like she did have like a growth of character throughout the thing, and the same thing with this one. So
Wait,
yeah.
is she the photographer?
the new, the young one. Yeah,
I was like, she looks
yeah.
familiar.
She's a strong. So that's the other thing too, is like she had a strong performance because it's ultimately Fede Alvarez brought back the horror to this franchise, or just at least to this film, which was the first one.
And that's weird for me because I wouldn't consider that a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Mainly
So-
because it's like in space.
So
and
yeah,
aliens
you
and
keep
stuff.
referring it to a horror, and I'm like, wait, where was the horror? Like
Well,
it was.
It was how everything was set up, and the fact that you know that you're watching it
Mhm.
to watch people die. You
It's a
know,
monster horror.
Yeah.
yeah, creature feature.
Just with the sci-fi, slants on it.
Yeah, I just would have never thought it was considered horror.
Thriller.
That's not.
One day we
In
have to
my
sit
mind,
and watch like
horrors.
the first one, because that one was supposed to have like, really taken that to that level, to
The
that horror
trash bag
level.
alien.
Okay.
Yeah. So it followed those beats of a horror movie, just like with the first one, just like with any other horror movie. And I always say it, I say it a fuckload of times on this, like, if you're going to have a horror film, you're going to care about the bad things that are happening to the characters, you have to then build those characters up to then care.
Mhm.
And I think that it was done so well. It didn't take too much time. I felt like it was paced properly and kind of cleverly set up the people that are going to have a little more importance later on in the film, and then the ones that are going to be like quick kill here and there. Was like, we don't need to know a lot about them, but did enough to make it did enough to make them feel like 3-dimensional characters. So like, it kind of made me bummed, like it was supposed to, that, they died, but.
And the baby man was super weird.
I was going to get to Isabel Merced. Isabel Merced is a fantastic actress, and the things that they did to her was so fucked up. And just when you thought it was over, it kept on going, which was awesome. Because like with most horror films, you go, okay, I know these are the beats and this is going to happen. So is going to die. There's a predictability to some of the structure of horror films. And Fede Alvarez, whom, if you don't know, directed the reboot of Evil Dead. I always say 2015. It's 2014, right? I like dates. And he did Don't Breathe. I think 1 and 2. And he does this thing where he's like telling the audience, yeah, we know that you know what kind of movie this is, but you're also in for a fucking ride. I'm going to show you things that you're going to be very uncomfortable with. And you're not going to know when it's going to happen. You're not going to know where it's going to happen. But when it does, it's going to hit you in the face like a facehugger proboscis to the throat. And it did. And that was the creepy humanoid alien thing. Mm-hmm. So disgusting. Perfectly disgusting.
That was the vagina stomach that I was like, what the hell happened here?
And speaking of the setup of a horror film and just Alien in general, the first 30 seconds of the film, I was like, whoa, the guy, like, the whole, in space, no one can hear you scream was encapsulated within like the first 30 seconds of the movie with just silence, to the point that Alva was like kind of fidgety and stuff. And
so my ears started to ring, and I'm just like, I didn't like this.
Yeah.
I'm about to walk out right now. Forget this movie.
It's that weird silence where you're like, can I chew my popcorn, or is everyone going to hear me? Like, super silent.
Rudy,
I had that moment because I was chewing popcorn and it was quiet. I was like,
but it set it up. To quote like one of our all collective favorite shows, Shorzy, it set the fucking tone. It really did. And I was like, yes, I am on board. That's how you do it. Right out the gate, you set it up. And I was on for the roller coaster. Mm-hmm. You had more to say?
No, I did not.
Oh, sorry about that. Any specific scenes that stood out as like really creative, cool, disgusting, anything?
I like how they hid, basically like the big creature at the end, like until the end. Like you had to see like the corners of the darkness of like the frames to like be like, that's where it's at, or like the slight movements of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of really like that just because it didn't do what other movies do and just show you right away.
I liked the scene where the aliens, creatures were introduced, like in the water. Mm-hmm. It was just, to me, it was like, oh, they need to get out of the water. They need to get out of this room. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, look, they're coming. So I like the way that was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where they actually used the guns they were given to shoot the aliens, because the whole through line is, you can't shoot an alien because their blood is acid and it'll chew through the station, and you have explosive decompression as you vent out to space. And they're like, well, what the hell do they have guns for? And then they run up into the problem and, they turn gravity off. And so that gravity's not pulling the acid straight down into the space station. So it's floating in the air, but, she's wrecking ass with her auto assist gun. That gun was cool, by the way. It felt very video game-esque, like auto lock. Mm-hmm. I'm like, cheater. But that entire zero space scene, zero G scene, wasn't expecting it. Everything else happening in that movie is like, which I love, not expecting some stuff. Like it happened. I looked over at everyone like, look what they're fucking doing. And then I looked over at Doug because he hates zero G stuff. I'm kidding. If Doug, if you're listening to this, but I thought it was like, wow, that's good writing. That's good directing to have something creative and new, something we've never seen before. So it's fun. They did lay the groundwork for that too, but the fact that even though they did, I wasn't expecting it. Was really well done.
Can I ask, if you were in that setting, you're seeing, something coming out of their chest or starting to come out of their chest. Are you staying there to try and help them, or are you like,
okay? So first
GTFO?
Of all, once I get the thing out of their mouth and everything, she's dead. Like, you're used to me now.
There's so much of them trying to save people that I'm like, what are you doing? Like, run. Why are you trying? They're done. They're done.
No, you're done. Bye.
Well, I think the whole thing is like they didn't know what the rules were.
You don't know. Like,
don't
you
know.
see this thing clamped onto someone's face and then like they get it off. Like, you don't know that there's something growing in their chest.
Yeah.
No, you're
And
not.
then when
Yes.
that shit starts exploding out of their chest, you still don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, but something exploding out of your chest, they're clearly dead.
They're
right?
done once the thing attaches to them. No.
I mean, it's trying to get that off their face. Okay, I understand that. You don't know what's going to happen after that. But if there's something starting to come out of their chest, like you're dead, why am I standing here? To find out what's going to happen.
You're going to get quarantined once that thing comes off of you.
They are human beings.
Yeah, like Jesus.
They don't know.
No, they're done.
And
Done.
I think this is my struggle with horror films.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like, I'm like, no, nobody would. Why would you do that?
See that I didn't take away from it because you're right. Like there's a lot of times in horror films where you go, don't go in there. Why are you doing that? I would have done this. I didn't feel like there was a lot of those moments, you know. And like I think if they function well within their characters and their moral level,
And everything happened fast enough that too you can really
that's a good point.
take a step back and be like, okay, so
I
shit's coming out of their
guess.
chest. They're probably dead. Should probably run now. Maybe I check for a pulse. Nah.
Have a flashback
It's
why they
definitely
did it.
easier to think
Let me
about when
get
you're
out of
watching a
here.
movie. Okay. I get it.
They're done.
But I'm definitely the.
I'm
Why?
sorry. If it happened to you guys, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, I also think I've come to terms because me and Rudy have talked about this so many times that like if the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm gonna kill him trying to keep me alive. So I'm just like accepting my fate of like, no, you're gonna die.
Do you need to borrow
Just
a
let him
gun?
take you.
I say it as a joke too, but like
Exactly.
zombie
Like, no,
apocalypse
I
pops
know.
off, like I'm shooting her first because
That is-
But it's
Sounds
also
good.
like you see all these, and yes, I know they're movies and they're made up and all of that good stuff. But like you see all this stuff, and it's like, what are you fighting to live for at that point?
I'm sorry.
rebuild.
Oh my god! Because the movie has to happen.
Repopulate the earth.
No, thank
Earth.
you. I'm fine.
But that's what I was trying to say earlier. Of like the motivation setup was believable or palpable, if you will. Where especially her, like she's on the mine, she's doing her thing. The Wayland.
Utah.
Always get it wrong, don't I?
Yes.
Or I never complete it. They fuck her over. You feel that pain again. Her performance as an actress wouldn't have come through if it was like any lower ability actor. And those little like micro expressions in her face when like she realizes that. So you're like, oh, this is heartfelt. This is deep. It's in her that she wants to get the fuck out of there. And so she has that fight in her, thus making her the final girl.
And I understand her fight for, what was his name? Andy,
yeah.
because after she had said that when her dad died, he made it his mission. His only mission was what's best for Rain. And so I was like, oh, I'd want to save him too.
So I like what they did. I like overall what they did. But if you want to hear like a really long breakdown of Alien
Really
Round,
long, obnoxious
with
rant.
dick and fart jokes, you can check out the Hype Attack.
also,
Available anywhere podcasts are found.
they used a 7-foot basketball player.
Dude,
and I just saw a picture of it right now. His neck is like a freaking whoosh.
For the baby man?
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That
just
thing was
like,
huge.
there's very little makeup for that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, we looked at that and it was eerie.
Put the
Oh yeah, what was it again? Bob
Bob Sharks
Ketchevic or something.
Roxy.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
it's the
scary.
neck, and I'm just like,
that
what
one where
is
he has the ball, like that
sorry.
looks like the alien.
right there?
No.
I just thought it was like a good
That
alien
one, yeah.
design.
Oh,
And I go, oh god, poor guy.
They've done like
Robert,
in
if you
one of
listen to
the,
this, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Also, if you want to come on the show and you speak English,
in one of the bad alien movies, they try to do like a human alien hybrid,
oh yeah,
and it looks
Yeah.
like a queen alien, but she gives birth like a human. And I'm like, oh, they went the other way. There's a alien that looks mostly like a dude, but with like
Except-
with like the tail and everything.
and not so much like a dude with this fleshy patch. Poor guy.
Ken
His vagina belly.
Ken told him.
Yeah, so if you want to listen to like a really long thing, check out the Hype Attack. So overall, I mean, again, I loved it.
It was a really good.
It was okay.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Again, that's not my type of movie, so it was
no,
okay.
for sure. But even the fact that you're like, it's pretty good. Like you were able to enjoy it even for a non-horror fan, non-sci-fi fan. So moving on to the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Crow reboot, starring Bill Skarsgård and what's her name? FK Twigs.
Yeah.
FKA. Is that how you say it? FKA or just like fuck off?
Or Twig. I think it's just Twig.
Anybody can jump in on this
Yeah,
one. Go
I don't
ahead,
know.
have at it.
I never saw the original, and before I knew this
Hurts my heart.
remake was coming out, me and Rudy had actually talked about it. I forget why it was brought up, but he's like, "Oh, you should see The Crow." After seeing this, I looked at Rudy and was like, "Really? You thought I'd be interested in this type of movie?" This is the one where it was a little gory, where I was like, "Really? Does everybody have to die like this?"
I sat down. I was sitting next to you, and I looked over.
Yeah.
And you were like, "No."
There was a couple times Rudy was laughing at me too because I was putting my hands in front of my face, like, "No, I don't want to see this. I do not want to see this." So yeah, that one was. If you're looking for gore, go ahead and see that one instead.
Bill Skarsgård, though.
It did well with the goth feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody really remembers how the original Crow was.
Never saw it.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
Absolutely love that movie.
so you can tell me, like, did it have any of that same feel?
No, absolutely not.
I think it's going for like a new goth feel.
Yeah, and their whole like Eastern European setting too was I don't say it was different and it wasn't bad, but it was like, okay, I'm looking at this and it didn't have the atmosphere that the first one did.
Mm-hmm.
Like
atmosphere, there you go. It's lacking.
It felt like because it's a supernatural tale.
Yeah,
and that had a great setting for it. The first one,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one, it was kind of it didn't pop the way the first one did, and I like it kept bringing me out of the movie.
Yeah.
So if you explain it like that, maybe I will enjoy the first one more, like that supernatural. But this one, I was just is the first one as gory?
No.
I
I mean, it has its moments, but it's
then.
not nearly as gory.
It has those classic 90s, 94, right? 90s, I like yours. 90s, gore and stuff. Where you go, okay, it's obviously some special effects here and there, but it didn't go for the gore that this movie went for. Which me and Alva I don't know if you heard us, we were like cackling next to you.
Yeah, you guys were laughing. I was like, I don't find this funny.
I like creative
At
kills.
all.
I like creative kills.
What was the setting for the first one? Like, what was it like, city wise or?
I don't know.
It was just a city, like, but it was more skyscrapery.
Yeah.
Skyscrapery.
Well,
You said it right the
Celtics
first time.
kicking
More
it.
like tall buildings.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Tall
tall.
buildings?
It felt like almost like a nightmare version of Gotham.
Oh, okay.
Be a way to,
Oh,
good
to
one,
kind
yeah.
of like describe that
You-
the way it is, like
on
a
the-
rundown.
On the drive back, you were equating it to Dark City.
Yeah, there you go.
You don't remember our
I
conversation?
was like, what
For
was
those
I-
of you that
what
couldn't
was I
see,
doing?
Rudy just looked behind him
Yeah.
to see who Isaac was talking to.
Who
I
are
don't-
you talking to?
That's another one of my favorite movies. I don't think Rachel's ever seen it.
I don't think she'd like it.
Dark City.
It's just so
Rufus Sewell and
it's very-
Jennifer
Connelly.
Yeah.
Oh, her and the Rocketeer. She brought like the whole pinup thing back. Yeah.
No. Getting off track.
It's my show. I can get off track when I want to. Now
You
let's get
cannot.
back on track.
No, but I'm you
sorry.
distracted me.
I'm going to have a desk between us. The overall feel of it was, I I felt a little bit of like, okay, I kind of felt a little bit of that grungy goth stuff. But it ultimately, what took me out of it was just motivation.
Mm.
It gave me like a gothic Joker kind of feel.
Yeah, I could see that.
Ew.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like Jared Leto Joker
Yeah.
or?
No,
Or-
like more gothy.
Okay.
No, yeah, I like Jared Leto
Yeah,
Joker.
because he's the closest one that comes to that image.
Yeah.
When you think of that,
With the
that type of
tattoos and
Joker
stuff,
because
yeah.
Yeah.
because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker doesn't elicit that. Jack Nicholson's doesn't elicit
No.
that.
Mhm.
But full spoiler, because I have to. I don't want people to see this. I mean, I know people love the original. I had some people who were actually DMing me like, when are you going to watch that movie next? I was like, no, I'm going to check it out. We'll have a full review and stuff like that. And that person specifically was like, because the original is my favorite movie. I'm like, all right, so you know who you are listening to this. I'd say not that it would ruin it for you, but I'd say just
It's not
avoid
gonna
it.
live up to that.
Well, I feel like they can still go watch it. It doesn't take away from the original being their favorite movie. It just doesn't. It just won't give you that same satisfaction or like, oh, this one is actually as good as the one that I thought or whatever.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like, I don't even think that it was like worth checking out.
Yeah, I feel like in situations like that, you almost get frustrated, like, oh, they fucked up my movie.
I had that feeling completely through the whole thing, and I was like, no. And I wish I could take The Crow out of my head and watch this movie objectively, but I kept fucking comparing them. I was just like, no.
I think we all agreed on the drive back because we also saw it with but he's busy playing WoW.
Yeah.
Wow. It took a while to get there. Now, for me, like I said with the Romulus thing, like I like trying to set it up so you care about the people and so you can follow along later. But it took almost like an entire first act to get there. Mm-hmm. And I did not expect for the two leads to not have already known each other. Like they met in rehab.
Yeah, it was all very quick.
Yeah.
Or at least they made it seem very quick. You don't know how much time was actually between.
That was the thing. All that time spent and then all that time spent in the first act, the meeting, the backstory and everything like that. And then ultimately you're like, wait, when they finally broke out, spoiler alert, when they finally broke out and spent time together, exactly how much time did they spend together? Because otherwise, the whole little element of them being addicts felt like, how you guys going to really be like truly in love? That just seems like an addict thing to do. Sorry, addicts.
If any addicts have any insight,
dial.
Is that an addicty thing to do?
Oh yeah, you replaced one addiction with another one.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. So it, like I said, the motivation completely pulled me out of it. Yeah. And every time it was going on. And I love Bill Skarsgård. I think he's an amazing actor. I think for the most part, he chooses like some good roles, but this one, it was up until like finally he was like the Crow. You're like, okay, I get it. But all the way leading up to that, I'm like, you're a bitch. You're wimpy and you're so artsy and you never have those moments of like, oh, I have crow powers. Fuck yeah, let's go. You're like, ooh, I can heal. And you're so focused on that shit that you're completely distracted from your actual quest, which a couple of times in the movie, he pops back in the underworld and the guy's like, what the fuck are you back here for? You really squandered your abilities, dude.
It was when he sends him back. When he sent him back the first time, I was like, all right, cool effect. And then he had to keep sending him back with that same effect. I'm like, all right, can we just speed this up? Like, what are we doing here?
I did like how he did his thing with his eyes, like he does in It.
When did he do that?
It was towards the end when he was with the towards, I guess, the guy he was trying to kill the whole time. His eyes kind of did the whole like.
I don't think you can help that.
I'm
sometimes
sensitive to that too, and I
really?
can't believe I didn't notice it.
I think because I'm like, oh,
fuck you.
I say that because Rachel does that shit all the time. She'll be talking to me, and one of her eyes will just start wandering off to the right. I'm like, I'll stop it,
dude. When Alva's
he's like, this is boring. Follow us.
I do something similar when Alva's talking to me, especially about Taylor Swift stuff. My eyes, they do this thing where they close.
As you're wearing friendship bracelets. Okay, stop.
It's an audio medium. They don't know what I'm wearing.
Mine will legit like
the bare wrist. So this is a heterosexual wrist.
Damn it. You know what's happening with this wrist later on, birthday boy. Yeah. So to wrap the Crow up, because again, I don't think I had more to say about it other than if you're thinking of going to go see it, I would say avoid it. If you have nothing else to do and you checked out another like popcorn movie, like, oh, that was a movie I'm underwhelmed, or rather just whelmed, I guess go around and see this one. If you're looking to, get some cool down from the heat, maybe go see this movie, but don't really expect to take a lot out of it.
And make sure that the showing is showing.
Holy shit.
Part of the frustration too.
I love AMC, but they really fucked up on that one.
But I did like the ending the most, not just because
it ended?
The movie was coming to an end, but just the way that Homeboy died and then she came back and the way that was kind of done.
Really? That shit was the worst part of the movie for me.
I was confused.
Yeah. I was like, this thing happened while they were still trying to
I meant like visually.
Okay.
Oh.
I guess, him being dragged down and everything.
Yeah.
Torn apart.
The afterworld thing was like kind of a
purgatory.
Kind of design. Yeah, purgatory it was a cool design. The way station.
I like the way it looked.
Still from Harry Potter.
I like the way that looked.
Still from Harry Potter.
King's Cross.
And made me want to friend a crow.
You always want to friend a crow.
Which is going to happen.
Yeah. So ultimately,
you just have to keep giving him food.
I gotta find one first.
Don't see the movie.
They're always outside my house.
Especially if you've seen the first one and you hold that in your heart, like don't watch the second one.
If you're not a Stubbs member and or A-list member and doing it for free because you're already paying that monthly fee, I would not pay to see that movie.
And by the way, personally, I am not the kind of person who will says, oh, this movie's going to ruin the other movie for you. It just I think you can actually watch a movie within a vacuum, isolated and stuff like that. But just because it wasn't a great movie, I would say just avoid it.
Hard to believe, hard to buy into.
All right, moving on to the next thing. Alva, this is all you and Rachel. But so in the last episode, a couple episodes ago, we had you review It Ends With Us.
Yes.
And before we actually recorded, I was like, well, are you going to talk about some of the stuff going on behind the scenes?
Yes. So one thing that I have to kind of, I guess, retract. No, I guess not retract, but just add to it is the more that I sit with this movie, the fact that I saw the movie and everything, the more that I see that I'm kind of not liking Blake Lively's character in the whole movie, because she kind of is acting very...
Her character or Blake Lively?
Both. Like,
Okay.
It's just like, oh, this happened, it's okay, I'm just gonna like brush it under the rug, and like it never happened, just kept going on.
I find it hard to believe how easily she got out of that situation.
Yeah.
Like, you hear all these stories, you see it in real life. Like, nobody gets away that easy to just be like, yeah, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. And the more that I saw like people speaking out about the movie, especially like domestic violence victims, they did not like the movie, which made me kind of rethink my own view on it. Because I'm just like, wait, these women or men, they've gone through all these issues. They've gone through all this like trouble to get out. And not just that, but even going through the trauma of it and continuing to deal with the trauma. And I'm like, I felt like it was very Cinderella-y, like very like mild.
Do you think that because the character in her childhood, she had experienced it so much that helped her and that could have made a difference?
Even then, I still feel like her character kind of, she saw the signs. She saw the signs. Clearly, she knew the signs, but she like just repeated the pattern. And she didn't want to break the cycle until she had the kid. And I get that. Sometimes you get so into like a relationship that you're like, no, it's fine. It's all rose-colored glasses. But I think it's how they made that movie. I felt like they should have put more emphasis on those little moments that were like him hurting her or hitting her, or where were the arguments before? Like if he found something, like they only showed like one scene towards the end where he was kind of getting really aggressive. Like, but where was that throughout the whole movie? Because then you're kind of making me like the character. And at the end, you're just like, oh, he did one thing and that's it?
Yeah.
That was my issue. Like, there was
there wasn't a lot of arguments leading up to it or anything. It was just 0 to 100. I get that, yeah.
What was some of the, like, the behind the scenes?
Backlash?
So, the thing was, Blake Lively, all her media and stuff, that like, the interviews and stuff, she did like, oh, haha, it's kind of funny, go watch the movie, wear your florals, take your friends. And that's why I when we introed it last time, I said, oh, it's a rom-com. And I'm just like, it's not a rom-com. Yeah. It's like a dark romance. It's like, it's not what it was, but all the marketing for it, how she marketed it, it was like, it's going to be a fun movie. And I think it just like made me feel like it was going to be a fun movie, even though I read the book and know what it was about. And
the opposite of that, the director, the way he was like describing the movie was more like, hey, if you've been in an abusive relationship, you learn something from this. Like, he really was trying to pull the layers from it.
And the more I read and the more that comes out, I wonder how much different it would have been with just his view, because I know Blake Lively had a lot to do with that. And I think that, and Isaac may hate me for saying this, but I feel like Ryan Reynolds and her are a little overhype.
Yeah. And I think also that there are two cuts.
How dare you? They're a power couple. I want to watch them.
Not after this.
Well, they're funny together and things, but it's almost like, okay, what's behind the scenes? Like, your days are just always laughing. Like, that's not realistic.
Honestly, like after everything going on, I did start to kind of like think a little differently about Blake Lively herself.
There was two cuts to this movie. There's Justin Baldoni's cut, and then there's Blake Lively's cut. Justin Baldoni's cut did very well with the audience, but yet they went to go with Blake Lively's, which it's what we got. And I felt there was more realism in Justin Baldoni's one.
And I heard that she had like requested her own, and she was requesting certain things that normally a regular actress like wouldn't get.
And even in the interview, she goes, they asked her like how she prepared and all that stuff, and she goes, well, I don't just put the costume on and act. I have to produce. I have to direct.
I do find it a little odd though, because I did read some interviews where, and forgive me, whoever's listening to this, I don't know which of the men actors said this, but one of them said she's ready to direct. Like her next thing needs to be directing. And then to hear about all this drama where they're not even marketing the movie together, there's something there that hasn't fully come out. But then there's also, now there's stuff surfacing about Blake Lively having like super awkward interviews where she's making the interviewer feel like super awkward.
Well, that one, Blake Lively announced that she was pregnant. And the announcer's like, oh, congratulations on your bump. And she's like, something about
congratulations on your bump.
Yeah. And she has infertility issues. Like, she cannot conceive, like, and
it was just, no matter if issues or not, it was a weird way to bounce that back.
And they ignored her after. Like, she was trying to do her interview and her job, and they just, like...
And then the one with Anna Kendrick was pretty awkward, too, because they just kept talking to each other.
Yeah.
So that one was really awkward. And then I know a lot of people are upset because Blake Lively hasn't really spoke about domestic abuse. It's all just been, like, her beauty line. And
her hair care line.
Yeah.
And I understand if you need to have something to market to get people...
Well, from what I read, it wasn't supposed to release when it did. So apparently it just happened to release at the same time. But you gotta find that happy medium.
I feel like the whole marketing thing of it was just her trying to get, look at me, pick me girl. And I'm like, that's not what it is.
Well, you know, she had to compete with her husband's movie.
Yeah. But I felt like they also want to do like a whole Barbenheimer with Deadpool, but it just wouldn't work.
It was kind of happening where he would pop it on her interviews.
But that's where he took his status and decided to do that. Yeah. Even his scene that he decided to direct or whatever in the It Ends With Us, like, it flopped.
So with all the drama going on behind the scenes, do you feel like going forward you would continue to advise people or suggest this movie to people? Or is there so much drama that you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to support Blake Lively?
I'd probably say stream it. Because if you're anything like me, I want to know the drama. Like, well, let me see what this is about. What's going on with it? But giving your money to it, I think, is a different thing.
Yeah, I feel like you just stream it or not watch it.
Rudy, any thoughts about the movie? Will you go see it?
No.
Want to see it together?
Ryan Reynolds wrote whatever rooftop scene where they meet.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
and we didn't like that scene.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be.
Good phrasing.
I didn't read the book, so I don't know.
No, because he was trying to make it funny, and funny doesn't really work. It was forced funny, and I'm just like, I guess
it was kind of like The Crow. Like they meet and all, you just love each other right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like no.
Yeah, like he had like the, oh my God, I just fell in love with you. And I feel like also going back to The Crow, that it felt how it all went down. Like if it was a romantic book, like a dark romance book. That's how it felt. Like you just like, here it is, blah, blah, blah. But here's movie form. Also, same thing with this. I feel like they cut out crucial parts of this movie.
I think when it streams, I do want to see it. Okay. Because I think I'm going to follow your direction and like not support it in theaters or anything.
Well, and the more you hear, because there was an actress that was on like Zoe 101 or something, and I don't know, this is where I was confusing. Me and Elva were going back and forth before. I don't know if the guy was in the movie or it was a song of his that's in the movie, but it's somebody that was known groomer, and they included him in this movie about domestic violence.
And that's where Blake Lively had the whole fight with the music. She was in control of that. And she put that knowing. Because it's not just like a hush-hush thing. You can't really... Like, it is a well-known
case.
Yeah.
Like, all of that good stuff.
Like, she put him on blast. And, I think they replaced a Lana Del Rey song for his song. And I'm just like... if you guys would,
that's a lot of drama behind a movie, like especially as it's coming out, and
and like the one thing that I didn't really like was the assuming of you being fat shamed. Like it's
I hadn't heard that until you said it earlier.
No, it's like known that Justin Baldoni has a bad back, so he went to the intimacy coordinator for him to go ask like, what is a proper way for me to ask her. Because I have a bad back and I have to lift her in one of the scenes. I think that went good. And she automatically is like, he called me fat. But one person's asking so they don't hurt themselves. Then the other one's like, he called me fat. And it's like,
she must just really be against that because it kind of goes back to the interview of someone saying, congratulations on your bump. She's like, congratulations on your bump.
Yeah.
I forget what other production she was on, but somebody was saying along the lines of like, in essence, that she's been difficult to work with.
Oh,
I think it was Ryan Reynolds on Green Lantern. I don't know. Don't quote me.
No.
Check your facts.
It's the point that Armie Hammer does not like working with her.
Whoa, Armie Hammer.
Yeah.
Mr. Sorry.
Yeah.
The baking soda brand.
Doesn't that guy eat people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he
and-
wants to. In
Yeah.
a fantasy world, anything can happen.
And it's to the point where if he says
You
something
mean so
about him not liking someone, it's like, this person is saying that they don't like this person,
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to have to leave that.
Then what are you doing?
Right?
And all the tea has been spilled, and that's why we waited until a whole separate episode to step away from it.
I think the most upsetting takeaway from this whole experience is that there's a sequel called It Starts With Us, and they're negotiating that into a movie.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
How does it end and then it start? Like, is
Because-
that supposed to be a better
Yeah, no,
story?
because it ends with us, which is this one, and then it starts with us, which is, I think, I haven't read that book, but I believe it's like the prequel, or it may be
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
or maybe the
Well,
Atlas.
you've heard of like the ultimate finality of it, right? The Last of Us?
Is that the third one?
I just kind of found it hard to believe about like how easily she got away, how easily she was like, no, I want a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, okay.
And I found it that the only character that was very grounded was his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, this is my ultimatum. You keep him, I'm done with you. But if you leave him, then we can still be friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, perfect. But where was this throughout the whole movie? Why do I only get one clip?
Yeah.
The wives have spoken. So let's go and wrap this up before we start hitting our time. My stomach is grumbling. I'm going to pass the hell out.
So, Alien, go see it in theaters.
Thank you.
The Crow, stream it.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Or don't.
We don't care. It ends with us. If you want to see
love
the
it.
drama, stream it.
Yeah, what
Thank
she said.
There you go. And in the meantime, let us know, and then you can join us in as we kind of close out. In the meantime, let us know what movies you're excited to go see, and ultimately let us know what movies on your growing list of films that has people asking you the question, you haven't seen that? Later, folks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Peace, Nichols.